and they call it the MAGA revolution. It's not a revolution. It is a counter-revolution. There's a big difference. This is a restoration. Let's use the word Trump restoration. We don't really appreciate what we've been through with 8 years of the Obama revolution. And
yes, before we go into this full clip, fake news media learn what they should have been taught in the fourth grade or have conveniently forgotten at the best of their Democrat puppet masters. I don't know if you've seen the complete video. Libras in the White House press corps scream at Trump Deputy Chief of Staff Stefan that Elon Musk is unelected. What happened next is extremely concerning. Yes, when I watched this video to a certain learn, it clearly shows some of these people sitting in there, they don't even know anything. This man educated them to a level that I was amazed when I saw the video. I don't know if you've seen that. I'm going to play that, but before I do, please, if you're not subscribed to this channel, endeavor to do that and share the video. It will do you no harm.
It is true that many of the people in this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent and was not running the country. It is also true that many people in this room who have used this talking point that Elon is not elected fail to understand how government works. So I'm glad for the opportunity for a brief civics lesson. A president is elected by the whole American people. He's the only official in the entire government that is elected by the entire nation, right? Judges are appointed, members of Congress are elected at the district or state level, just one man. And the Constitution, Article 2, has a clause known as the vesting clause, and it says the executive power shall be vested in a president, singular. The whole will of democracy is imbued into the elected president. That president then appoints staff to then impose that democratic will onto the government. The threat to democracy, indeed the existential threat to democracy, is the unelected bureaucracy of lifetime tenured civil servants who believe they answer to no one, who believe they can do whatever they want without consequence, who believe they can set their own agenda no matter what Americans vote for. So Americans vote for radical FBI reform, and FBI agents say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote for radical reform on our energy policies, but EPA bureaucrats say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote to end DEI, racist DEI policies, and lawyers in the Department of Justice say they don't want to change. What President Trump is doing is he is removing federal bureaucrats who are defying democracy by failing to implement his lawful orders, which are the will of the whole American people.
That is beautiful. This is a history lesson. It's like some of these people are not aware because they have continued to spread misinfo pertaining to what is going on. When you take a look at this next video, Jay Hansen discusses the mishandling informations about the first 30 days of the Trump administration actions, comparing it to the other first 100 days. On this episode of Victor Davis Hansen, in his own word, Hansen described the current period as a Trump restoration rather than a revolution, emphasizing it as a counter-revolution against the changes brought by the Obama administration. I saw this video shared by Elon Musk. When I watched it to a certain learn, I was impressed. It clearly shows you.
And they call it the MAGA revolution. It's not a revolution. It is a counter-revolution. There's a big difference. This is a restoration. Let's use the word Trump restoration. We don't really appreciate what we've been through with 8 years of the Obama revolution and the 4-year more radical third term of Obama using or employing the waxen effigy of Joe Biden. A revolution that we've experienced was a cultural, economic, political, social revolution. It was very similar to the French Revolution under the Robespierre brothers. We should remember what they tried to do. They changed the days of the week. They renamed things. They tore down statues. They went after the church. Does this sound familiar? This revolution that we've experienced, everything was up for sale. Everything was negotiable. We invented a third gender and rammed it down people's throats. We tore down statues. We said 1776 was no longer the foundational date. It was 1619. We changed the very mechanism that we vote. We went from 70% of the electorate voting on election day to 70% of the electorate not doing that, either through mail-in or early voting. That was a radical change that had no discussion. It was done by fiat. It was incredible. We looked at girls' sports and we destroyed it. Biological males that were now females could compete. They won over 600 medals they took away from hardworking female athletes. We had shows among young children. It was an effort to change the entire Constitution. We forget that. They were trying to bring in Puerto Rico as a state and Washington, D.C. to get 4 instant senators. They were proud. They said that they were going to pack the Supreme Court. It hadn't been tried since 1937. And it was a object of disgrace ever since, but they were proud to try it again. They talked about making states, the Senate look like the House. They wanted, and a lot of them were advocating it was not fair that one senator in Wyoming, to take one example, is worth 250,000 votes, but a senator in California represented 20 million. They wanted to change the makeup of the Senate. They wanted to get rid of the Senate filibuster. Remember that. They wanted to bring back neo-Confederate nullification. 600 jurisdictions in the manner of South Carolina in 1832 or on the edge of the Civil War in 1860 when neo-Confederate Southern states said the federal government's law does not apply to us. Tariffs, Yankee tariffs, no, we were going to override them. Andrew Jackson almost invaded the Carolinas over that, South Carolina. And so these jurisdictions said, federal law doesn't apply here. We're exempt. We have our own laws. Federal immigration law does not apply here. It applies everywhere else to you, but not to us. So this was a revolutionary movement. Movies were different. Sports were different. Take a knee. And Donald Trump came in, and it was not sufficient to say we're going to stop the madness of $37 billion. We're going to stop the madness of being short 40 or 50,000 military recruits.
There is absolute nothing to disagree here. What he said here makes a lot of sense. Just imagine that Biden was to continue. See the war in 4 years, how things could have been. Everything was changing. And if you don't succumb to it, you will surely be alone. Or you will not even be able to associate with people. Look at what happened to social media platforms. There were things I was struggling to really counteract, but you are scared. Like, if you do it, they will deplatform you. Now, look at how people are recovering. People have a voice to speak. What is happening? What he put out on this video is very important to me, and it should be to you. Yeah, this is the restoration that I've observed Trump is doing. Reason his first 1 month in office is significant. Every single day he's changing this. It is like things were already rotten. When I look at people still struggling to disagree with Trump on some of these issues, I ask myself a lot of questions. Yeah, this should be something we should be happy about. That he is bringing back all the things that we saw Democrat putting aside, changing the names of things. This is how the war was. But these people came in and changed the minds of everyone. Thank you, Trump, for doing what you're doing. I understand there are people who disagree with Trump on some certain issues, but we should look deeper than that. What has Trump done within this he has been in office? It's not even stopping anytime soon. Watching Elon Musk the other day what he put out, like he's even scared of his life, but he needs to do this. Thank you guys who has been there sharing out my videos. God bless you abundantly. If you see clips after my videos, that is just for the algorithm. I make sure to always put a
The rest of the world, we've got a bit of whiplash.
The mainstream media cannot ever say that anything this administration is doing is positive. So even if they find unbelievable corruption,
was digging through essentially the way that money is audited within the government, links to payments, outgoing payments, budget line items. So this payment goes out. What is it for?
What I've learned from this is that if you are not guilty of anything, you will not panic.
Thug, who is the president of the United States, U.S., it's everywhere.
There is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse within a system.
Audits.
a chance to see what happens when you take a business approach to the government.
Also, I got to say,
Don't you agree?
I totally agree.
Essential.
Early on, immediately.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
To her.
The EU does not treat the U.S. fairly on trade and that he has some big complaints. Is that true?
Right? And it doesn't mean that we should sit and pretend that it's suddenly okay, that this new presidency is just going to keep on keeping on. That is not the case. And
awful things have happened. So sparks move things. And it doesn't matter how much water you have.
Future president and his gag
Or somebody in policy.
The city of the Pacific Palisades is burning. And, I flew here last night. I was on a plane.
You getting water to areas that need...
He's been trained his whole life to do.
What do we do?
right now you're looking...
Remember it.
And then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know.
Jim Jordan.
Josh Green, the governor.
Watch news or talk.
Now, look, I have a lot of...
The Democratic Party has about everything.
The next department that appears to be on the chopping block is the Department of Education. Just earlier today...
Thank you. Hey, now speaking of church, can I...
In common, they're all terrified of Ronan Farrow.
Is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires.
They're on Team Chiefs. Literally right next to us was Taylor Swift. Those are boo.
So Trump has been in power for just a month.
I do not care that Elon Musk is unconventional.
And you people still don't get it.
So Trump